And good evening, White County. Don Strength with you from the building of White County Public Safety from our Emergency Operations Center. It's 9:21 p.m. on Thursday, September 26, 2024. We thought we'd jump in and give you kind of an update on where we are and what we think the rest of the night is going to be like and what you can expect to experience as the sun comes up tomorrow morning. Now, we've been preparing all day long. We've been having multiple meetings. We have been talking to all of our emergency responders. We've been planning for multiple different scenarios throughout the day so that we will be prepared to get into a recovery mode if we receive damage across White County as we get into the height of this storm. We have our 911 center fully staffed. Our emergency operations center is at full activation level, and we are going to be working for you all night long and throughout the storm through its entirety. And if we do go into a recovery mode, we'll take care of that as well and work through this to keep you guys safe and get you back to normal just as soon as we possibly can. So there are a couple of things I want to talk to you about as we'll pull up that first slide and I'll go through this. Some things maybe that have changed a little bit since the last time that we talked. We now expect Hurricane Helene to be a Category 4 status storm before making landfall south of Tallahassee, Florida. The storm is getting relatively close to making landfall as we speak. I'm thinking probably within the next couple of hours, we will see landfall there just south of Tallahassee, Florida. And then the track is going to continue to the north, possibly a Category 2 hurricane all the way up to Albany, Georgia. And then we will continue to see the storm track to the north, maybe running pretty much parallel to I-75 up into South Atlanta, and then continuing up into Tennessee, maybe just a little bit east of I-75. The National Hurricane Center has expanded the hurricane warnings up into southern Atlanta, the South Atlanta metro. And because this storm is moving to the north at around 23 miles per hour, that's the reason we're concerned about those hurricane force winds making it all the way up into North Georgia. And when I speak of North Georgia, I'm talking the Atlanta metropolitan area. I'll tell you what we think we're going to see up here in Northeast Georgia in just a few moments. But there you can see on the screen those lighter red colored counties. Those are the hurricane warning counties. The rest of the red that you see on the screen are tropical storm warnings. And that it covers the entire state of Georgia, parts of East Alabama, and then back over into South Carolina. Unprecedented storm that we're dealing with here, as every single square inch of the state of Georgia will be affected by this hurricane in some shape, form, or fashion. So again, the National Weather Service has extended those hurricane warnings up into South Atlanta metro. And we'll go to our next slide. We'll tell you that flooding continues to be a concern as hurricane and rain bands move into White County. Now, we've got a little lull going on out there right now, but I think within the next couple of hours, I'm thinking maybe by about midnight, we should start to see the rain pick back up again across White County. And from that point forward, the rain's probably going to be pretty steady. And in some of the heavier rain bands, we could get gusty winds 20 to 30 miles per hour. And then after about 5 or 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, as the eye or what's left of the circulation of Helene gets up into the Atlanta area or maybe just a little bit north of Atlanta, we'll start to see wind gusts from 39 miles per hour up to around 70 miles per hour from time to time. And in the higher elevations of the Appalachian Mountains, we could see occasional gusts to 80 miles per hour. So again, we're not going to be seeing this for an extended period of time. We won't see the height of the winds probably until around or after 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. But prior to that, we could certainly have heavy rain bands that could bring in some strong winds that could knock down trees. We could have power outages happen pretty much at about any time. And then as we get towards sunrise tomorrow morning, I think we start to get into the height of the storm. Possible widespread long duration power outages are possible across White County. And we're asking all of you to be prepared for the possibility of having to shelter in place for maybe as much as 36 hours. It could take that long to get power restored in some areas around White County. What we don't want you to do is get out there on the roadways and hamper the efforts of our first responders and our utility workers that will be working trying to get the power restored. Current timing again suggests the height of the winds will move into White County around 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I think it's probably going to continue off and on for about a 6-hour window. I think maybe by noon, 1 p.m., we'll start to see the wind subside as the storm pulls off to the northwest, moving on up into Tennessee. So let's go ahead now and take a look at the radar, and we'll show you what's actually happening out there at this hour. And you can see that range stretches from Knoxville, Tennessee, all the way out about 200 miles into the Gulf of Mexico. So that is this is a very, very large storm that's got a very large rain field. Understand, we're looking at the Atlanta radar. So you can't see all of it. As a matter of fact, if you'll bear with me just a moment, we'll put the composite back on. There we go. And then I'm going to zoom out, and you can see that we have rain associated with Helene at this hour, stretching from Havana, Cuba to Philadelphia, back over towards St. Louis, Missouri. This may go down in history as one of the largest hurricanes. I think it will go down in history as one of the largest and fastest forward moving hurricanes to ever strike the Big Bend area of the state of Florida. This is an unprecedented situation that we're dealing with this evening across the southeastern United States. So we'll take you in close and show you where the hurricane is at the moment. Category 4 hurricane. We think it will maintain Category 4 status as it makes landfall here just southwest of Perry, Florida, or almost due south of Tallahassee, Florida. And we could be looking at historic event right here. This is going to probably provide up to a 20-foot storm surge. Never seen anything like that before. Total inundation along the coastline here, probably between about Carabel back over to the south of Perry, Florida. It's going to be total devastation, and it's going to be non-survivable. So I really, really hope that everyone has gotten out of the way of this storm as it makes landfall, probably within the next hour, hour and a half there south of Perry, Florida. Then the storm is going to continue a trek to the north, maybe a little bit east of due north, up into Georgia near Moultrie, and then a track between Tifton and Albany. We're expecting it to still be a Category 2 as it passes just to the west of Tifton, and it's going to pretty much parallel I-75 up through Cordele, Perry, just to the west of Macon. It's going to be pretty rough there in Macon, and then up to around Griffin, Georgia, and then right through the middle of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm talking about it may ride the connector all the way through downtown Atlanta, and then up through the northern suburbs, and finally exiting up into Tennessee, passing very close to Cleveland, Tennessee, by the time we get to around 8 or 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now, once the center of circulation gets up into the Macon, maybe a little bit north of there, maybe up around Griffin, that's when we will start to get into the height of the wind up here in the northeast Georgia mountains. But I'll point out this as I go in closer. You'll see that we have one heavy rain band about to move across at least the southern sections of White County right now. So very heavy rainfall from Demarest back over to around Claremont, and then back to the northwest of Gainesville. That will rotate right over Cleveland in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. When you see those yellows and those reds, that's the absolute heaviest rain you could possibly imagine. So for about 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to get a significant rain shower here in just a few moments, probably rain rates around 2 inches per hour. And in those bands, we could get gusty winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour. So it is certainly plausible that we could lose some of the power grid well before the height of the wind gets here around or shortly after 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Tornado threat does not seem to be particularly high across the White County area or northeast Georgia. Most of the tornado warnings that we have seen this afternoon and this evening have been down in the Savannah, down to Brunswick, and north of Jacksonville, right along the coast. We've seen several warnings over in South Carolina. We do have a current active warning just south of Dublin, Georgia, for a tornado that will cross over I-16 there just west of Dublin. And we've seen a few tornado warnings down in the Dougherty County, Albany area a little earlier this evening. So it's not a zero threat of tornadoes, but it is pretty low. We just really don't think that's going to be a problem up here in northeast Georgia. However, understand that if we do have a small spin up tornado or two later on tonight across White County, they're going to be short fused warnings. So if you hear those sirens go off, if your phone starts going off and you find out that White County is under a tornado warning, understand you need to take cover immediately. Typically, we give you a 15, 20-minute heads up on a tornado warning, but in an environment like this, these tornadoes are quick. They're typically very small and they don't last very long. So you have to act quick when you get notification of a tornado warning in a tropical situation. So that's a look at the radar right now. Again, we have a few bands coming through, but there'll be a little bit of a lull in the action. And then probably toward 3 a.m., maybe 4 a.m., all this stuff you see down around I-16 will have rotated up toward northeast Georgia, and the rains will kick in again. We've already had several roads that's had water standing on them. These are flood prone locations across White County. You know, in front of Burger King or the old Glenda's restaurant in downtown Cleveland, that always goes underwater. That culvert that goes under 129 just can't take the amount of water that comes down through there. So if you're going to be traveling in that area, be mindful of that. Cleveland PD is working that. Also, we've had some reports of water getting very close to coming over Highway 115 out there at Shoal Creek. That's another case of the culvert just simply isn't big enough to handle the volume of water. And we most likely will see water over Highway 115 West before this is all set and done with. Richard Russell Scenic Highway was closed this afternoon at 4 p.m. by Georgia Department of Transportation. The gate on the White County side and the gate on the Union County side was closed, and Richard Russell will remain closed throughout the duration of this storm. And then we've had a few trees down here and there, nothing significant, but we're tracking that, and we will let you know. The idea here is to do live updates throughout the night. We will continue to do that as long as we can. However, if we get into a situation where we're extremely busy, I may not be able to do that for you, but we will certainly keep you updated as best we can. And then as we head toward the conclusion of this, I'll certainly will come back and give you updates on where the worst situations are across the county. So don't forget to sign up for Code Red, White County Code Red. The alerts, and all you got to do is text White CO Alerts to 99411. That's White Co Alerts to 99411. You're going to get a link. You click on that link, fill out some information, and then when we send out local information for the citizens of White County, you're going to automatically get it through our mass notification system, which is Code Red. We've already utilized that several times tonight, and that would be the absolute best way to ensure that you do get quick and factual information from your local government here in White County. So thank you to all the folks in the chat room that's thanking us for what we do. We're here to serve you, and we hope that everybody makes it through tonight's storm well and safe. Understand, folks, be very mindful about calling 911. If you have a true emergency, that's what we're here for. But please refrain from calling 911 to ask about road conditions or weather conditions or whether or not something's opened or closed. Let's leave those 911 operators available for the emergencies. Be very patient with us. We get overwhelmed rather easily when something like this happens. We're not a huge agency. We all kind of have to pitch in and do different things. And I know I'm a little bit biased, but I am the division chief for 911, and I can promise you, you won't find a better crew anywhere in the country than what you have right here in White County. They're going to take care of you, but be patient with us. Understand that those guys and gals in 911 are multitasking. They're not only taking your calls, but they're dispatching first responders. They're filling out reports. There's all kinds of things they have to do, and their responsibility is large. So be patient with us. We will get to you as quick as we possibly can, and we'll get that help to you if you need us. Hopefully, you won't have to, but we got to be prepared for this. And this could be a long night, especially as we head toward daybreak across White County. We could see significant power loss and a lot of trees down across the area. We'll keep you updated. Thank you so much for joining us for this live update. Be sure and like us here on Facebook on White County Public Safety and share us with all of your friends and ask your friends to share with their friends so we can get a lot of folks watching us here on White County Public Safety. Have a great night.